doesn't matter if it's true. I've got a feeling love will give us what we lack. The world is waiting up.
Okay, trying this again.
Half a step beyond our door. And if it's not enough, I wanna see the stuff the world has got in store. I wanna take it all in, I'm falling. The cityscape by night, wanna catch in my photos. Where you go, every corner twice as bright. They'll be my treasures forever.
Perfect.
When I can't hold you tight, I'll see the Stockholm lights. The Stockholm lights, the Stockholm lights.
So thank you for tuning into my stream. I'm sure it's been a crazy week for everybody. It's been a crazy week for me. And just decided I'd play around tonight with this new Linux. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Bodhi Linux? I'm not really sure. And apparently it's been around for about 5 years or so, but I've never heard of it before probably 2 or 3 months ago. And they just recently released 5.0, which is supposedly a really polished, awesome version. So we're going to try it out. And you guys can watch while I try it out live. I'm doing this on Oracle VirtualBox on my work machine here. For memory, I'll probably just go with 8192. We'll give it some disk space so it can breathe a little bit. So the machine I'm doing this on, I call it my work machine, but it's actually not my day job machine. My day job at Pluralsight, I use a MacBook Pro. This is my personal machine, but I generally use it for work. I use it for virtualization, video production for my courses, things like that. And occasionally gaming, not gonna lie, here and there. But it's a pretty cool i9 machine. It's got 64 gigs of RAM. NVMe, all that kind of cool stuff. So let's see, for system. Now when I'm doing an install, I like to crank up the cores as much as possible just to make the install fast. But then I can bring it back down a little bit to what an average normal machine might be. So let's go ahead and get this started. And I just downloaded this today. This is Bodhi 5.1.0. So let's fire it up. I haven't actually done this yet, so there may be some tinkering to get it running. I don't know yet. We'll see. Oh, let's see. Dry and safe graphics mode. Let's just go with install. You know, a lot of these Linuxes have like a text-based install and a graphic-based install, and some of that is for things like NVIDIA cards and stuff that has to be configured. You can do a safe text install. We're just going to go ahead and try this with the graphical install. If it fails, I'll go back to a text install, but we'll see. I actually have an NVIDIA card on this machine, but I don't have it through virtualization, so it should be fine. And you might have noticed we're running Arch Linux in the background. That's what the actual machine runs. Runs very well. Been very happy with it. I've got it dual booting with FreeBSD, and trying to get FreeBSD started, as those of you who follow me on Twitter probably know, it hasn't been super easy to set up for streaming. Like this one with Arch Linux, it took 15 minutes, 20 minutes to get it dialed in. Not so much with FreeBSD, but I'm still working on it. And I haven't even checked to see if I'm on Twitch. I should probably... I'll do that when we start installing. So we're going to download updates while installing. Since this is a brand new ISO that I just downloaded and it was just released, it shouldn't take very long. Doesn't look like I'm on Twitch, but I'm on YouTube and Periscope, so it's good enough, right? And I will be monitoring the chat, but feel free to speak up for anyone who might be watching. Looks like there's at least a few of you. Thank you for tuning in to my probably really boring stream here. Okay, erase disk. So this, of course, if you're dual booting with Windows, you don't want to erase disk and install anything. So when they have something else, generally that something else is you've created a set of partitions, you know, and basically the best way to dual boot Windows and Linux is to install Windows first, cut your partition however you'd like I generally cut it in half or whatever. Say if you got 500 gig, 250 gig for Windows, cut out that partition, install Windows on it, and I'll just stop talking and start clicking here. I generally use the same credentials. That's why it says weak password. I'm just going to throw this VM away anyway, so I don't really care. But generally when you're doing a dual boot with Windows and Linux, the way I do it is I'll cut the partition in half, and you can do that with any live ISO of Linux, and you can just boot up and use fdisk, cut the partition in half or 3/4 or whatever, and set it as a FAT32 partition or NTFS partition, install Windows on it. And the only reason I say FAT32 or NTFS, you wouldn't want to install it on FAT32, but you can change it to either of those types and Windows will see it and be like, hey, this is a partition, can we use it? And then you select yes in the Windows installation process. And generally I'll install Windows first, and then go back in and then do the something else or custom or something like that with the installer and create the rest of your partitions for Linux after you have Windows installed. Windows tends to overwrite the MBR on older machines, and so I've gotten into the habit of installing Windows first. It's with a lot of the EFI machines that are out now, it's not as necessary because you're going to be figuring out some kind of EFI boot. But with the older machines with MBR, Windows will overwrite your MBR. So if you go through and install Linux and get it all configured and everything and then install Windows, Windows will overwrite your MBR and you won't be able to boot into Linux without doing some footwork. So I've just kind of got into that habit over the years of doing Windows first, but it's not necessary anymore. On this particular machine, I'm running something called REFIT, like R-E-F-I-T. So the machine that you're looking at right now runs Windows 10, Arch Linux, and FreeBSD. And the way I did that was just split it up between two drives, installed Windows first, then Arch Linux, then FreeBSD, and then did basically like edited my boot menu with REFIT. And with REFIT, I can just boot in, I'll hit F11, pops up a menu, okay, which of the three do you want to choose? And I did that mainly because I really love FreeBSD. It's a lot of fun. It just kind of plays around, and then I have my Windows and Arch Linux stuff for real work. And I actually just installed Steam on this machine recently, but I haven't tried to play any games. So it looks like our install is done here. That's pretty cool. Let's change to a full screen mode. Now you'll notice here the host is right control. So if I want to get out of this for any reason, I can do that. So far we've got a login screen. Looks like a login screen. Okay, and we've got some help stuff here. Lightweight distribution uses the Moksha window manager. Our philosophy is to provide a minimal base system. So that's one of the reasons that I actually like Arch Linux. If you've ever done an Arch Linux install, on the internet, a lot of Arch users will hype it up as the most difficult install in the world. It's super hard, and you know, you've got to be this elite super Linux hacker to do it. It's not really true. If you follow the directions, there's a really good set of directions for installing it. But one of the things that's cool about Arch Linux is you just basically drop a kernel on there. You do a little partitioning, drop a kernel and installer on there, and go. And by the time you reboot, you have a prompt. You have basically nothing. So everything is installed piece by piece from there. And that's one of the things I've been using Arch Linux for about 10 years now for my main Linux distribution. And that's one of the things I like about it, is it doesn't install a lot of crap that you don't need. And it sounds like this is a similar philosophy. So we'll see how much is installed on this default install here, as soon as I can figure out how to get out of this window. Kind of a GNOME looking interface a little bit here. So we have LeafPad, which is cool. LeafPad is one of my favorite default editors. Obviously, VirVim is going to be your actual default editor for most Linux installations, but this is kind of a cool, just this is a text file. So you need a notepad-like thing. You know, for the Windows folks, they have Notepad. Notepad's just that bare bones text editor. You need that for Linux too on your desktops, and LeafPad is awesome for that. I kind of like the looks. I'm always a dark theme type of person, and I know that's like super typical with developers liking the dark theme, but it's easier on your eyes. Obviously, I wear glasses and my eyes aren't perfect, so easier on the eyes. But this is kind of a cool, I like this like dark mint theme that it gives you by default, because this is pretty much, you know, you guys saw my Arch Linux installation as I brought it up. It was a dark theme, basically like dark black, silver, and blue. So the dark silver and green is kind of cool. And there's a basic little text editor. Let's see what else we've got here. Oh, we've got take screenshot. Delay time is in the screenshot module settings. So this caught my attention because I love doing screenshots, and I'm going to do that on here. So we've got a delay time setting, image quality. This is kind of a cool little app for something that just comes with the installed application. So show screenshot guide, blah, blah, blah. So we'll make it after 5 seconds, and image quality, we'll keep that cool at 90. It's kind of sweet. And I'm just checking some of my stats right now to make sure I'm broadcasting to where I want to broadcast. So I'm assuming I got to reconnect this thing to Twitch to get it to work. We want to do delayed shot. Screenshot in. That's cool, little countdown. Alright, let's check out, see what our screenshot would look like. Yeah, it sucks. Oh, never mind, it's gone. So, cool. Let's see what else it comes with. We've got, for accessories, all it has is LeafPad. There's no GNOME blocks or anything weird. We've got AR&R, that's pretty cool. So, AR&R or Rander or whatever you call it is what you use for dual monitors. I have dual monitors going here right now with my Arch Linux system running a Rander. But over here I have like all my OBS set up and chat room and things like that, and then over here is the screen that you actually see. So basically that's what this does is if this were an actual machine and had dual monitors or 3 monitors or whatever, you could go and add them here, and Rander's awesome. It's a really simple, easy to use. So it comes with that by default. That's super helpful. Pretty much everyone I know these days uses dual monitors. Okay, this ePhoto is what we saw earlier. So we don't really have any photos to look at yet, but a photo app is not a bad thing to bundle with an operating system. I would probably like to see GIMP or something like that, because I think GIMP is pretty much something that we use constantly. For internet, I have web, so let's go to web. I don't even know what this browser is, but we'll use it to look up stuff, like how to install GIMP. I don't even know, I've never used Bodhi Linux before. I'm assuming it's an apt thing, but we'll see. How to install GIMP in Bodhi Linux. Here we go. Installation instruction right up front. Oh, that's to install Bodhi Linux. Pretty good system requirements here though. 500 megahertz processor. So 20 years ago we all had 500 megahertz or better processor. 256 meg of RAM. That's pretty amazing, and 4 gig of hard drive space. But it recommends you have a 1 gig processor, so probably roughly 21 years ago, you would have that. 512 mega RAM, pretty much every machine made in the last 15 years can run this, it looks like. If I had to guess. If you bought a machine in 2005 and you put it in your closet, you could probably power it on and run this. So that's pretty impressive. There we go. GIMP. There's an install button on a web page. I'm going to click it. Don't care. That's pretty cool. So it brings up esudo here with apt-url-elm apt-gimp. That's cool. So you click on a web page and it brings up this little applet here. That's pretty cool. I like that. That could be super easy for new Linux users. Obviously, experienced people are going to go jump straight to the prompt. You know, I include myself in that. I love the prompt. The prompt is my friend. But if you're somebody that's new to Linux, the prompt is probably the scariest place in the world you want to go. So that's pretty cool that I could Google like how to install GIMP and press a button on a web page and successful. Let's see. Should be under graphics. There it is. And there's our GIMP. So should we install everything like this? I don't know. Let's see what version of GIMP it is. Very nice. So that's pretty cool. I'll have to copy that command because I think that command is probably what you generally use to install things in Bodhi Linux. Let's try Visual Studio Code. The developer's favorite text editor these days. There's our download. I don't see anything that's really specific here. So maybe I have to throw some quotes in there. None of this looks super specific to Bodhi Linux. Bodhi Linux. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I'll figure it out. I'll watch a few YouTube videos or something. So I think Periscope might be the only place that I'm broadcasting. And it could be this bright. I didn't even realize how bright I was on there. Holy moly. I don't even have any lights on, really, so it's just the brightness of the monitor. Let's change our quotes up a little bit here. We have Linux Mint. This is probably pretty similar. We could just try apt. I mean, it's based on Ubuntu. And hey, check out that cool... Okay, how do you minimize the window? I feel dumb now. There we go. Check out that. That is pretty cool. I mean, if you're somebody that's into visual stuff, this looks like some weird, like, backlit... I kind of want to take a screenshot of that. That's kind of cool. Let's do it with our handy dandy screenshot application. Take screenshot. Delayed shot. Cool. Save. Save that in pictures. Yeah, that's pretty cool looking. I like how it's kind of like, it's almost like it's a backlit screen with a light in front of it. That's pretty cool. We have apt. So it's an Ubuntu based distribution, so shouldn't surprise me too much, but let's see if this works. You cannot locate code. Well, let's try Node.js. Super hacker looking typing there. It's kind of cool. So I have like 4 viewers, so I kind of feel like I'm almost talking to myself, but that's okay. Feel free to heckle me in the chat. I'm here for it. See, so now I'm installing Golang 1.10. Okay, that's not super cool, but it's a little behind. So here's another reason I use Arch Linux all the time. And I might sound like an Arch Linux zealot, and I feel like some of the Arch community, they're kind of arrogant, kind of jerks. But they're like, I use Arch because it's hand-built and because I'm so awesome and because I'm this Linux elite. And I think that's a stupid reason to use any Linux distribution, especially if you want to be the Linux elite, you use Gentoo, which I actually used for years too, where you have to compile every single thing from source. But one of the cool things I like about Arch is everything's bleeding edge. So what you can do is get the latest and greatest versions of every piece of software out there. So if you're doing a lot of work, like if you're running a server or you're doing something that has to be up all the time, if you're building something for medical devices or something, you wouldn't want to use Arch. But if you're a developer, you want the latest version of Golang, you want the latest version of whatever. Golang is at 1.15 right now, and this one's 1.10, so that's pretty old. I'll confirm it here. Yeah, it's 1.10. That's pretty old. Not that there's been a huge ton of drastic developments, but that's something to keep in mind. Node.js is at 8.10, so it is what it is. Let's see here. Oh, what was I going to install? I was going to install the NeoFetch, because I install NeoFetch on every single machine that I install Linux or Unix on. If anything, just to see what they've done with the logo, to see if they've made cool ASCII art with it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So got Bodhi Linux. Kernel is 4.1.5. That's not bad. Bash 4.4, it's pretty cool. We're using Enlightenment with Moksha. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. With an Adwaita theme, which I love that theme. That's one of my favorites generally. And then there's my CPU adapter. So I'll try to stop being ADD for a minute, and we'll go back through our list again of things that were installed by default, which doesn't seem to be a whole lot, actually. And Patrick McAfee is in the chat room. Hello, Patrick. With some info. Bodhi 5.1 is still based on Ubuntu 18.04. That makes a lot of sense. That would explain where the packages are at. There's an HWE ISO with a 5.3 kernel. That's pretty cool. So maybe I downloaded the wrong ISO. So earlier I just grabbed what I thought was the latest and greatest, but this is probably more of a stable version, which is fine. Okay, so web. I still don't know what this web browser is. I'm going to see if I can figure out what this web browser is. Because it does not look familiar to me. About. Web. Simple, clean view of the web. So WebKit GTK Plus. I am completely unfamiliar with what this web browser is. GNOME Web. Okay, I've used that before here and there, so it's not super popular, but I mean it looks pretty clean, looks pretty cool. Oh, it's Epiphany. Okay, cool. So as far as what this thing comes with, stock with like a default installation, it looks like it is pretty minimal. So they're trying to focus on minimal. There's our pulse audio volume control. Let's see. For system tools, we have the App Center, PC Man FM, which is an okay file manager, network connections, Synaptic. Terminology is apparently the name of the terminal, which I think is really cool. I might try to install that on my Arch machine. Let's check out the App Center and see what's in there, which it's loading up an Epiphany page. So. Chat clients, we've got Hex Chat and Pigeon. There we go. I like Nautilus just a little bit better than PC Man FM if you're going to use a graphic manager. Basically when I'm developing and stuff, I'm in the prompt. You know, I'll literally go into a prompt like this and start doing stuff, so that's my file manager. But if I'm going to use a graphic file manager, I've had PC FM crash on me a few times. Let's see. Let's go to text editors. Genie, LeafPad. These are all good text editors. I'm going to try out this install thing again. That's cool. Good old Gedit. So I worked years ago on this R&D project at Intel. We were using Ubuntu 10.04 on all the machines. And we're pulling down the machines, so you'd basically reboot the machines and it would go through Ethernet and pull down an image, pull down this 10.04 image, and yeah, I spent a ton of time in Gedit at that time, and of course Vi, not Vim, but Vi. Okay. So now we have Gedit. Let's see if we can find Visual Studio Code. And Patrick says, Nautilus, you have to launch it with a certain switch or it'll take over the entire desktop. Yikes. What are Moksha modules? CPU usage? Yeah, we'll install that. Why not? I was assuming it was going to come down here somewhere, but I don't know where that little thing went. Modules or widgets you can place on the desktop. Okay. Gadgets? Nope, I'm probably in the total wrong place. So I think, Patrick, you need to do a stream of using this Bodhi Linux. You definitely know it better than I do. There's our modules. We don't really need battery. There's our CPU. We could do CPU frequency, temperature, why not? I don't know how you're going to get a temperature from a VM, but time between updates, that's kind of cool. Alright, so back to trying to find Visual Studio Code. Which I'm sure there's a way to install it on here, but we'll try the official way first. Nothing found. It doesn't even have code. So if you've dealt with a lot of Linux distributions, there is an application called Code that has nothing to do with Visual Studio Code. So it can be a little confusing, but there's Chromium. We've got to get Chromium, right? So the things I can say about this Linux distribution so far is, looks nice, seems to perform fairly well. A little bit older on the versions of things, but that's fine. And it seems to be pretty minimal. There it is, Chromium web browser. There's our friend Chromium. Just wanted to see it. Let's see what else they're pushing on us here in the App Center. Can't believe there's no development section. Patrick's suggesting Snap. I don't know if Snap actually is on here. Alright. Just install it with that. Snap D, I can't type for squat. We'll try Snap install VS Code. I get a warning here. Version of Snap is published using classic confinement and thus may perform arbitrary system changes outside of the security sandbox. Okay. Don't really care in this particular sense, but if this were my actual machine that I'm using all the time, I may be a little concerned about jumping out of the sandbox. Maybe. Try to like make a web page or something here. Can we open more of these? Just try clicking it again. Yes, we can. I've seen desktop managers where you can only open one instance of a terminal window, and I think that's basically a crime as far as I'm concerned. Rarely able to just open one terminal window and do everything from there. So I don't see code in here anywhere, but you probably just type it in. Nope. Oh, that's the code I was talking about, a different code. So okay, I gotta show you guys that. Look at that, like, little red thing. That's pretty cool. This is actually honestly too distracting if you're doing any real work, but it looks cool right now. So I bet you if I do a sudo snap install code, it'll install that other weird code. But we're gonna try it. Yep, we gotta do classic flag on this one too. Not the end of the world. And this one says snap install code, Visual Studio Code installed, so it's possible. snap bin is not included. Oh, gotta be kidding me. Where is snap bin? Am I even using bash? I'm not even really sure. We'll just hack this thing up. Why did it say it wanted that path? It is available in Snapbin, so look at these cool cursor effects with Vim. It's wild. Like I said, for working, probably a little distracting, but as far as looking cool, so if you're doing a demo for a meetup or something, or a presentation, this is awesome. Like, being able to type makes you look all hacker-like and stuff. It's pretty cool. So let's set our path here. I'm just assuming it's gonna work the way it works with the other ones. So path. Oh, this one was not in home. This is Snapbin. Let's see if that works. Voila! There we go. Okay, so now we have Visual Studio Code. Don't ask me why that's a weird thing that I want to install instantly. Probably because I use Visual Studio Code for most of development, so it's kind of nice to be able to just fire that up like that. Let's build us a website. So back to the prompt. Like I said, I'm a prompt person. Oh, let's see. Hello. Does it have NPM? No, it does not. Forgot my -G, but it should be fine. I'm a little surprised at that failure of all the systems. So the only place I'm streaming right now is Periscope. Even though I connected it to Twitch and YouTube, and I'll have to investigate why that is later. I actually haven't streamed in months, so I think maybe the authentication tokens have timed out. I didn't prepare very well. Now I'm going to try to install Serve. If you've never used Serve before, Serve is awesome. It's like this little lightweight HTTP server. There's a million of them out there. What the frig is this? Does it work? It appears to work. So here's what's cool about Serve. Go to projects. Hello. This is why Serve is cool. Suppose I'll close my tags like a good guy would. There we go. That's why Serve is cool. So you just go into the directory, you use it npm install serve-g, and then you can go into any directory that has HTML in it and just type in Serve, and it's this little miniature web server that's freaking awesome. Not great for anything like PHP or anything that you want to do, but just for flat HTML like this, works perfect. I'm not sure why I did that in Vim when I could have just done it here in Visual Studio Code. Where did I create that project? Hello. So same thing in Visual Studio Code. There's a couple other projects out there that do like live reloading a little bit better. Serve isn't so great about that. In fact, it appears to be caching some of this stuff. A little bit too long. There we go. Test. Let's see. People. Let's see. Does NPX maybe? Let's try it. So we do have NPM, but not NPX. Appears to have found it. Let's see, throws an error. Yeah, of course, I bet you I know exactly which freaking app it is too. Oh, this one's just a deprecation warning. No big deal. Let's see. What version of NPM are we running anyway? Oh, that's why. Ancient, that's why we don't have this. So creating a React app would probably be the old school way. Let's see what else we do with this thing. Places here, this is interesting. So what do they consider places? Home? That makes perfect sense. Desktop makes perfect sense. Snap code 28, which apparently I was in there. I don't know. Let's see if we can change this theme. Maybe you don't like this dark minty theme. I like the dark minty theme. I think it's pretty cool, but let's see how easy it is to change. There it is. Preferences. The only thing we have in preferences is A&R. Oh, there we go. Theme. Now all of a sudden we change it to default. And we got this terribly aged looking thing here. Yeah, so this looks pretty terrible. The default theme looks pretty terrible for the most part. The gradients, man, that's just like early 2000s. It just screams early 2000s to me with these crazy gradients on everything. Gradients, however you want to call it. Let's see. A few people in the chat. Shout out any suggestions or questions or anything. For the like 6 people that are watching this, because most of our streams aren't working. Luckily we're recording this to be posted later. And you can always reach out to me on Twitter, Jeremy C. Morgan, if you have any questions. I don't know the answer. I'll absolutely tell you I don't know the answer. And give you places to look, rather than pretend I know. So I don't know anything. This is literally the first time I've installed Bodhi Linux in my life, so I don't know a ton about it. I don't know what shelves are. Oh, that's a place to put those little widgets. That's cool. Got one wallpaper to choose from. Who cares? People replace their own wallpaper anyway. So we've got 2 different themes here. Got our modules. Let's go ahead and see if there are some different themes in our software center. The Bodhi App Center. I thought I saw themes in there somewhere. Oh, there we go. Arc Dark is what we were using earlier. Let's see what the dark theme is. Oh, Enlightenment Blue. I've used this theme before. It doesn't show up in my themes list. Let's make sure I did this right. I kind of sped through that. Yeah, let's go ahead and install that bad boy. It's installed. You can close it. Alright. Get some other themes. And I will be right back. We'll do the Moonlight theme also. So I'll just install a pile of themes here, and then I'll see how to enable them. A little embarrassed to admit I've been using the same basic theme since around 2010 with LXDE as far as my work machine, just because it's simple, it's easy, it's clean, it's dark. It's the one you saw when I first started on here. I think it's Radiance theme. Most of these things look the same as far as the little thumbnails, but oh, there we go. We got a pile of themes here. Let's install Moonlight. I don't see anything different. Maybe I have to close it. Oh, there's the ones I installed. There's Moonlight, that's probably a good one. Ew! I chose wrong. That's terrible. It's like a mix of a dark and a Windows-like theme with some more ancient-looking gradients and some weird... It's freaking weird, man. That looks like crap. That's terrible. So, I'll get out of here. Let's change this. I thought I was going to like this. Restart Moksha. Let's see. Yeah, restart it. Still looks terrible. Let's try this one. Not bad. This reminds me of like KDE from 2003. That's what this kind of reminds me of. More terrible rounded gradients. This looks like a basic gnome menu, so it's fine. Try Radiance, that sounds happy. Radiance is at least a little bit of a flat theme, but I hate the gradients and all that gray crap. The swirling mustache or button there, yeah, that's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Moonlight. Detour. Look at that, doesn't that feel beautiful now? This is the theme that we started out with, but with some of these terrible ones that they have here, that it actually starts to look pretty good. Look at this kind of reminds me of like a Super Mario 3 or something, so let's see what this looks like. And Patrick has just said in chat, if anyone has any Bodhi questions, I can help out. Calvin and Smack on Twitter. Very cool. That is awesome. I am going to dig into this more. So this is the very first time that I've booted it up, and I'm just doing things like installing things and doing things, but I will dig into this a little bit deeper and do an actual review and write the review on my site. I can never do a review of a Linux install, you know, in an hour or two. I have to play with it and use it, move it, and try to find all the weird stuff. But I will be putting that on jeremymorgan.com. I will review this Linux. I'm pretty impressed with a few things right off, like I've already said. There it is. So that doesn't look too bad. And I'm kind of weird about themes. I like them to be very simple and easy, and I don't like gradients and things like that. This theme I could probably live with. I kind of feel like I need to get rid of this spacer. Feel like there's a spacer in here. There's gotta be. But this isn't too terribly bad, other than we've got a mix of a dark bar and a light bar. Yeah, it's a little weird. What other themes do we have here? Japan theme? That looks kind of cool. Looks kind of cool. This pseudo dialogue that came up looks terrible. Gotta say. This is already hurting my eyes and probably washing out my webcam. Alright, let's see. Not bad, not bad. Maybe if I go with personal, it'll replace the wallpaper and all that. Leaf is a little weird, gotta say. Oh, and the Japanese characters that I have no idea what those are. Just based on positioning? I have no idea. Forum theme. Cool. Anyway, I think I'll probably bounce off of here very soon. So I'm gonna do a few things on here with Bodhi Linux as I do a review. I'll do some performance tests. I'll try to install and set up a developer machine. Like, I'll try to legitimately try newer software, like compiling it myself or just installing the binaries manually, things like that. Kind of see where it's at. See how hard it is to get it set up as a developer machine, doing things like what I do for development when I develop things. You know, I build things in React and Angular, .NET Core, things like that. So I'll try that on this particular setup and see how that works. And maybe I'll do some renders with it, things like that. But I'll just kind of test it out and give my honest feedback. So if you've been watching, if you're one of the 6 people that has been watching this the whole time, I don't have a verdict yet, other than it looks pretty nice when it's installed. It looks pretty minimal. It seems to be pretty performant. I will definitely test the performance on it before I and I have a way. Basically, the way that I've been testing these things is I'll set up in VirtualBox and I will set up the hardware identically and just run Geekbench tests on them and Phoronix tests, things like that. So I'll do that and just see how it kind of performs as an operating system. One operating system doesn't deviate very far from the other as far as Linux goes. I expect, since this particular one is based off Ubuntu 18.04, I expect it to perform exactly like 18.04. Some of the ones that I've tried, like Clear Linux, Alpine Linux, even Gentoo, they do perform different and faster than other Linux distributions. But as far as this one, I expect it to be just like Ubuntu. I don't expect any special code in there, any special compiler flags, anything like that. But I'll still performance test it anyway. As far as how it feels on the desktop, this is basically a 8 gig machine here that I'm using this on. One of the things I'm going to do in the future, so if people that are watching, let me know on Twitter or on email or whatever, if people actually enjoy this kind of thing and they want to see real comparisons of Linux distributions, I can get a dedicated machine set up, like an old i7 machine with 16 gigs of RAM or something to keep the hardware exactly the same, and we'll just put different versions of Linux on there and stream from there, and we'll compare everything off of the same chunk of hardware as far as performance. And I can do the Geekbench and Phoronix, and then just browsing around things, and we'll have it on actual hardware. That's something that I can set up if people are interested in it and like it. Thank you, those in the chat room. So yeah, and so as far as future streaming, some of the things that I'm going to do, I'm doing a Stay Home and Learn JavaScript series of articles and tutorials. Stay Home and Learn React, kind of the same thing. And so I'm thinking of taking those, and I'm writing them out right now. I've spent the last couple weeks really trying to shape, like, what do people actually need to know, and how can I put it into a format that makes sense, that will help people learn. And I probably over-obsessed about it a little bit, but I'm going to put out these series of tutorials, and there's going to be a video component that comes with it. But I may do a streaming component to where I will go on and stream for a couple hours and go through the steps of each of those tutorials. So that might be something that people are interested in. So I might be doing more streaming with that. And then I'll keep reviewing Linux distributions, because apparently I really like to do that. So I will keep reviewing those and streaming those. And thank you everybody for coming to watch my stream. I know it's not the most exciting thing in the world, especially when people are playing the new Doom and things like that on there. But thank you for tuning in, and we'll be doing more of this since we're all stuck at home, right? I'm stuck at home, you're stuck at home. So I'll be doing more of the streaming. I might even come on tomorrow. I haven't really figured out what I'm going to do yet, but I might jump on the stream tomorrow. I might play some old school 8-bit NES video games again, or something like that. I've done that in the past and people liked it. Or I may come on and we'll do some Golang stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, stay safe out there, wash your hands, maintain social distancing, and thank you for tuning in.